everyone, my name is Christina and welcome to my channel, Time for Truth. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and it's been a little while since I've come on to say hey. Kind of running the gauntlet with medical appointments and whatnot. So that's been interesting, and I'll be talking more about that with that whole experience. But welcome to Time for Truth. This is a vintage Starbucks cup. Yeah, I really like the design of that. It's has something to do with their Mermaid Special series. I think it's from the early 90s when I was going to Starbucks. But this one is from a thrift store. Mugs like this, you can get them for 25 cents at your local thrift store. Check it out. Delicious. So, it is not Starbucks coffee, however. That's my own witch's brew. Well, it's kind of been a lot over the past couple of weeks, and I haven't been posting just because I've been otherwise occupied, running around doing other things and trying to feel better. Although I am feeling better, so it's like a day at a time, truly, as far as that all goes. And yesterday when I was out and about, look what somebody gave me. Another Jeep owner. There's a story behind these little ducks for Jeeps. And I happened to come out of one of the thrift stores, and there was a nice Jeep sitting there. So I gave the Jeep wave. I didn't even know if anybody was in there or not. And then I'm getting into my truck and Jeep and, sorting through all my little treasures that I just bought. Clothes for spring, actually. I got some great bargains. Amazing. And then there's I see the girl get out of the Jeep and I think, okay, she's going into the thrift store. No, she comes over. And so I roll down the window and she's like, hi, I have this little, you've been Jeeped, you've been ducked, whatever it was. I'm like, yeah, what's the history on these? Because you see a lot of Jeeps with these lined up in the windshield, which, okay. And I should have brought up what I already have in my Jeep, which is a spider that my daughter gave me that's about this big. And it's holding up really well for over a decade that it's been there. And then a red crab, like a Maryland blue crab, but it's red with a little from my cousin. And now we're adding Reva, and that was the girl's name who gave this to me. And so when I after we finished talking and having a little giggle over the whole thing, told her it was my first little duck. And so then she headed into the thrift store, and I'm thinking, oh, I need to thank her somehow. So I had already been to another thrift store, so I had this cute little bag, cosmetics bag, like an Estee Lauder one, really nice looking, red gold zipper, and a coconut water. So that's what I did, and I put it over on her little, she had a nice Jeep. It was a Magnum brand foot lift to get into the Jeep because it was lifted like mine. So owning a Jeep is a lot of fun. After I had a ZX and then a Land Cruiser and then some random car in between, then I don't know, that thing was like whoosh, 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 going down the road, like too soft, no suspension. It was weird. Anyways, that one got crashed, totaled in an ice storm. There were like 5 cars in a little town in Iowa. And I was innocent just sitting there. And then there were cars being hit behind and then forward. And then, so everybody, I think everybody got a ticket on that. Yeah, pretty sure. But that car was totaled. It wasn't my car. It was a car. Totaled. And then I went and bought a Jeep and had a Jeep ever since. So anyways, yeah, that's the story on getting ducked. Isn't that cute? Little stars on it. Yeah, so we looked it up and now we have some on order so that we can duck other Jeeps. So there's the story on that. I have bread in the baking machine down there. I can start to smell it. It smells delicious. But I would say that if you can, stay out of doctor's offices. Holy smokes. So since December, I've been dealing with trying to get, like care for what turned out to be a herniated disc. And my primary care, 5 stars, but I'm back to him, like after running the gauntlet with these pain clinic doctors who are pretty much all like, they want to be able to help, but they only do part and parcel. So unless you're in acute phase, then one doesn't do anything. And then the other one, will do it, but it takes, 3 appointments with shots into the spine and then a plethora of new medications. And then the third one, pain clinic doctor, was a flippin' nightmare with an overcrowded waiting room these are all disabled people, like seriously, like these mobile, almost loungers. Like, I don't even know. I've never seen one of those in a doctor's office. But the egress and ingress to this doctor's office was no way safe for these patients with walkers and their caregivers and all that. We stood outside waiting. Anyways, I'd never stepped foot back again in that office. And he heard about it too. So back to my primary care. So now, because in the beginning I was sent for a open MRI when I should have been sent for a closed MRI. So now it's all like back to square zero. So my point in saying all of that is, if you want health and wellness, it's up to you to pursue it. It's up to you to find out what alternative measures can be taken, other treatments without a whole plethora of like pills that you're now going, no, not doing that, sorry. And my primary care agrees with me, so that's good. But anyways, yeah, an apple a day, people, and coffee. I thought I was starting to get migraines. And I'm thinking, and I'm not taking the medicine that these people are saying, oh, you need this and you need that. No, I do not. But I started getting these headaches about 3 o'clock every day. And I'm like, now, I kind of remember these headaches. When I was in rehab, they cut out your caffeine. Massive headaches. Whoa. And they won't even give you like an Advil or anything for it. Just tough it out. My coffee, my creamer was not tasting good, so I wasn't drinking my coffee. 3 o'clock, headache, migraine, light sensitivity. So caffeine works, and it's been proven that it is a health benefit. It can help stave off dementia. It helps with blood pressure, and drink it strong. Go with more half and half and stronger coffee. Add a little chocolate for good measure. So yeah, cheers. So that's it on running the gauntlet on, yeah, and the last pain clinic guy that we saw, and I take my husband to all these appointments because, it's good to have a second set of eyes and ears, but also the crazy stuff that happens, you want to witness nowadays. And always read the clinical notes that these providers write about you, because it does matter. Other providers will see that. And this doctor wrote in his clinical notes that I became agitated and got up and left the room. When I read that to my husband, he's like, what? I said, yeah, exactly, because my husband and I were still sitting in the chairs as we watched the doctor become agitated and leave the room. Like, the complete lying by these people. So you got to call it out. I'm good about calling out when it's a good thing, but I'm quick to do it when it's also not good. So anyways, avoid the doctors if you can. Stay healthy. And good mental health matters too. Oh, let's do a fingernail check. Remember I was saying about Rejuvicoat? That we were going to do the Rejuvicoat challenge. Here's the product. And this is my nails by, I don't know, it's probably been 10 days by now, but still, check out those nails. Like, yeah. So anyways, if you like long fingernails and you don't want to pay somebody in a salon, yeah, that's it. Do your own. Take care of your own self. So notes about the channel. I wrote some things because, yeah, I'm a little bit scattered. First of all, I'm so happy that my channel was able to help somebody within the first week with getting that note. The more that I reflected on that, the more grateful I was that that person reached out to me to affirm what I was saying, and so that she could get, you know, he or she could get the support that, you know, they might need by listening to somebody else's actual true story. So, oh, and I mentioned in one of my earlier episodes that I will sometimes hoot and holler at the construction guys standing around. My husband and I were coming back from where we were coming back from shortly after I made that broadcast. And I told him, I said, should we do a little science experiment? And he knew what I was talking about. He's like, sure. So I rolled down the window and there were like 5 of them standing over there. I'm like, woohoo! You know, I didn't do it too loud, but enough because they were pretty close by. And one of the guys turned around and he's like, woo! Turned it right back, you know, and we're like, yeah. So it is fun to engage if it's safe to do so, but it's always fun to, you know, give the construction guys a little hoot and a holler. And so, let's see. I think that was the same day that, is it in my background? I don't know if you can see it in the back. Oh, you can. I was having such a tough time. I'm like, I need a Happy Meal. So that's what we did. We went over and got a Happy Meal. Look at these little tiny French fries. The container for the French fries are so tiny. Okay, there's that. And then here's the little, I don't even know if I'll be able to work it again, but they're called changeables. And they do things that make them changeable. I believe this thing pulls down. Yeah, here we go. And then the front opens up and this pops out. Hopefully I don't break a nail. And there it is. That's the changeable on the Happy Meal. Yeah, so anyways, I'm not a fan of McDonald's, but their stuff is cute. And I did like the idea of finding out what the Happy Meal is like these days. And so it came with the hamburger and these little tiny French fries. There were like 9 of them in there. What else? And Rita's water ice. Oh my goodness. If you have a Rita's around you, go there. I was running errands yesterday, and as I got in the truck, I'm like, you know, what's going on over there? People standing in line outside. And it was a Rita's water ice. And I remembered that my husband had taken me to one of those when we lived in Pennsylvania. Delicious. It's like a mix of gelato, custard, and water ice. So it's layered. Oh, so good. So anyways, had one of those yesterday. So you have to treat yourself. You know, if you see something that you want and you can afford it and it's within your means, do it. Life is uncertain. Eat dessert. So anyways, Nancy Guthrie, Mrs. Nancy Guthrie is still missing, and I'm still just very much sad for the family that this is continued on for 40 days coming up on, maybe even longer. I didn't look today. Brian Entin, E-N-T-I-N, he stays on it. He brings on people who know, who are in law enforcement, who understand. But I don't know. I dealt with the police chief, plus officers in Logan, Utah, the police chief in Maryland, detectives in Maryland too. And I mean, they really just pass the buck. They really just don't want to be bothered. That was my impression, and that was the end result. So take care of your, you know, family members. And also back to the healthcare stuff. There are things that you can purchase, like acupuncture is one thing that I'm looking into doing as an alternative treatment instead of, like, you know, a bottle of pills. Like, no, thank you. These are little pressure points. You can buy these online. They're adhesive on this side. And then it has, like, you can kind of see that it's got this little metallic dot. And you can put these on pressure points. I use them on my ears for the mastoid issues that I have, you know, but like joy and happiness can be purchased online. And we purchase some of these now so we can pass those along. Health and wellness, you know, find out what works for you. If it doesn't work, don't use it. That's the only way that I've been able to figure out and navigate the healthcare community. Okay, so those are my notes that I had as far as, oh, and giving thanks for all of y'all that stopped by to like listen to my little talks. Thank you very much, because it's very helpful to me. Although I'm a procrastinator. Can I just say that again? I'm a total procrastinator. I'll make something into something that it's absolutely not, just an avoidance, just so I don't have to do it, put it off, make it bigger than it is. And then here I get in front of the camera and I just start talking and it's no big deal. Whatever. Alternative drink today is Pellegrino with a slice of fresh lemon. That was the bread machine. It's done baking. So I pre-planned that. So we have everything together down there for my husband to just open it up, pop that thing out, set it on the cutting board, let it cool off for a few minutes, and then we have this massive loaf of delicious crusty bread. Love it. So anyways, I'll put this little note away because, yeah, I needed to stay on track with giving thanks, acknowledging that this really is helpful to me to be able to just like, I don't know, do a little product review, talk about what it's like to go to these doctor's appointments when the doctors are retarded, you know, needing to take somebody with you, you know, parents of children out there, you know, doctors' offices are being very intrusive in their questioning, their line of questioning. You are not required to answer those kinds of questions. If you don't want to answer them, find a different provider within your network. Absolutely. And there are plenty of people to choose from. So don't ever feel locked into a doctor. And, you know, get out and about. Find a way that within your own means, you know, for you or for your, you know, child or the person that you're caregiving for, you know, to be out and about and get fresh air. It matters. So we try to make things so that our only outings are not to, you know, doctor's appointments, because what kind of life is that? And, you know, my husband's lucky because he works from home and we're able to get out, you know, to doctor's appointments when we need to. And we try and add something in to make it fun. And I found one of the things that I put together before we went on one of our getaways to Charlottesville, Pennsylvania. And I go through and I look at, you know, what are there to do, Hawk Mountain Sanctuary, which restaurants, you know, that we can check out, cemeteries, you know, the town center, the historical section of each town, which more and more each town is doing that. They're, you know, preserving the heritage, which is so important because, you know, all of us should, you know, explore our own little locale and then expand ourselves outside of that, because we'll learn a lot, not only about our own selves, but about our culture and sometimes the culture of others. For instance, you know, like taking a trip into like Lancaster, Pennsylvania. In fact, when I was at the thrift store yesterday, okay, so let me put this over here because that's a product review that we'll do later. If you like coffee, we're really talking coffee today. We're going to do a little product review on these bad boys. Yeah, because I did not like those coming off of caffeine headaches. So if you start getting a bad headache, drink a cup of coffee. All right, so these little things are made by, you know, craftspeople. They're pieces of wood, and then they provide a history on the back. This one happens to be Jake's Restaurant, which is no longer in Rehoboth Beach. But when we first started coming down here to help my mom look at houses, yeah, we ate there. And then if you've ever been on the East Coast for French fries, then you'll recognize Thrasher's. And the more that I look at these little art pieces, the more that I see there is a black cat on each of them. So yes, the project would be, can you spot the black cat? Because, and there's thrashers, and then it gives the little history, and they're each signed by the artist, thrashers. And then, of course, this is where my husband and I had our wedding dinner the evening of. It was a coastal storm. The ocean was wild. And there's the back of that one. But this hotel has been in Rehoboth Beach forever. And they are actually now taking away a lot of the low-lying businesses and creating high-rise with underground parking. So we'll see how that goes when the next nor'easter comes through. This one, I went into the thrift store and they had, this was the first one that caught my eye because we love visiting the mills, the old, homesteads that had the mills and the big barns. This one happens to be in New Jersey. Now, we have not been to this particular one, but the scenery was just so perfect. And then I saw this one. This is the only 3D. Look at that. It's one of the Pennsylvania Dutch hex barns. Is that a masterpiece? Look at the top of that. And then you can see how they've done it in a 3D. And this one is really spectacular for the history that it gives. Now, when we go to that area, I believe it was our Charlottesville, or when we stayed at the Appalachian Spacious Skies, I think it was called. We actually went on the road tour. You can look it up. There's a Hex Barn road tour in Pennsylvania. So if you want to pause the screen, you can read all about it. But I just love this. And there's a person on X who's tweets about barns, old barns. So I've been sharing some of my barn pictures. So now we follow each other. But that's a little, like go out and about in your own area because there's a lot to see and do. And why not? You can learn about go to an old barn, and if there's an estate sale or something associated with the barn, they open up the barn. Who knows what's in there? It's like what was that show called? American Pickers or something. So, yes, I love thrift stores. I love the little treasures that I find. I don't always want to just be going out for a doctor's appointment. And sometimes that's what it feels like. So with spring coming, which we are now into spring, today is March 20th. It's actually been 1 year to the day since I had the first breast cancer surgery, the double mastectomy. So that's quite a benchmark. I've come a long way, baby. I'll tell you what, it's been a rough go. And I want to shout out to my husband who's been there through my meltdowns, through, all of the torturous pain that he saw me go through. It's a real blessing to have somebody who is capable and willing to be a caregiver when you need it, because the people who don't have that suffer more. And it's very hard to advocate for ourselves when we're not well. And we almost have to double time it then, because if we don't have somebody to help us, the way the medical community is right now, I'm not seeing the helpers very much. Let's just put it that way. I'm seeing a profit-driven system. That is not patient-centered at all. And if you come across a good provider, keep them close because they're far and few in between right now. So I'm going to start back with the speed bag. So that's going to be a thing. And I'm going to be filming that too so people can see the progress, to hopefully encourage others who, you know, have limitations but still have desire to, you know, be to a certain level of wellness. You know, whatever our limitations are, that's what we have to work within. But a limitation or a few limitations should not completely limit us from living our life and enjoying it. And I had talked about, you know, the 5-star tour of Ireland, and I will talk about that. I pulled out like all of the things to share, like, and I'll do that in the next broadcast because I wanted to just really kind of download the disappointment with the medical community, you know, and I couldn't do it in real time as I was going through this since March 4th for seeking out care so that I can help my own self. But here's another thing that I found out, and it's all just so interconnected with the vast level of disappointment, not only in the medical community, but with the associated services, let's say that. So a lot of times you might have a condition and then you see your primary care and they say you go see a specialist, and then that's good because you want to see a specialist, but then the specialist should support that referral because you've gotten a referral from a primary care, then to take it to the next level. Oh, she had a closed or an open MRI, let's get a closed MRI because the other providers are giving us feedback that it's not clear as to what it is or if it's this other thing. Okay, well, right there, that's a question mark. That's enough for me to pause. But the neurosurgeon doesn't order that. Then I go see the pain clinic providers. They say to me, why did you get an open MRI? I'm like, because that's where they sent me to. I mean, I don't know. And then, so then they don't order it for me. So then I'm back to the primary care and then I'm asking him for it. Because I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to have a needle stuck into my spine 3 times, plus this whole plethora of other medications. I'm not really into that, thank you. I actually am doing quite well. So here's the thing, and my primary care knows this. I've gone into doctor's appointments perfectly well for like wellness appointments, and come out injured. So through no fault of my own. And then when you call them out, they all want to be like, you know, offended. Yeah, well, guess what? I'm offended too, highly. Case in point is reading through the local newspaper the other day, and I see an image of my imaging center. And there's my imaging center that I went to for 6 years for mammograms, and who put me off for 6 months after I self-reported a lump. They're closing after 17 years, abruptly. No patients were notified to come and get their records, or they put on there that in accordance with state and fed regulations, the contact information along with requesting, like you have to request them and then pay for them. That's what I had to do to get records from the Christiana Care where I had the 2 cancer surgeries. I had to pay for my own records in order to make a complaint about being injured in the pre-op area by a contracted nurse, that the hospital will put levels between you and that person, because the hospital doesn't want to hear about it. Just like an imaging center doesn't want to hear about it. When I say, what was it that made you put me off for 6 months? When you said that you saw something. So anyways, they're closed now. It seems to be a thing for me with, and the other thing is that his wife, so it was a husband and wife team, and it was fully staffed, MRI machines, sonograms, I did everything there. Other than like I do a lung scan each year, which anybody who is a past smoker or a current smoker, you can sign up and you can get an annual lung scan. That's a simple and easy thing to do, and it'll be an early detection for lung cancer, because even people who don't smoke, even by environmental or other allergens, can get lung cancer. So getting that scan is a good thing, and demand it because it's available, and why shouldn't you? So anyways, I went to a different hospital for those kinds of imaging. So it was not just there, but for mammograms, it was just there. And they let me down. But his wife, it was actually when I had to go there for, I went into a doctor's appointment for a wellness exam and came out with a prolapsed bladder. So then I had to go here to the imaging center, to find out about the pelvic floor issue. So then I was talking with the wife of the radiologist, and she told me at that time that men were calling there and asking for female-based tests. And she would have to tell them, no, the insurance doesn't cover opposite sex imaging tests, perverts. She said she was so disgusted by it. And it makes me wonder what was the reason why they've abruptly closed down. Because the perverts will make complaints that they've been denied services. And so I don't know if it was malpractice, like what was done to me by putting me off for 6 months and then being so far gone that I had to choose a radical treatment, or if it was perverted men demanding opposite sex tests. And she would even say, she said to me when we were on the phone, she said, when we tell them no, the insurance doesn't cover it, they want to self-pay. That's how perverted the men are. These aren't women who are going in there demanding prostate scans or whatever happens with the prostate exam. These are men who are going in seeking for a woman, who usually these technicians are women, to give them these exams because they're perverted men. So anyways, they're closed now. Ocean Medical Imaging, Dr. Patterson. He's the one who put me off. And then after he put me off for 6 months, then I went back. And then it was a whole big rush. Then he had his own pathologist in there. He says, come in for a biopsy. I have no idea. Oh, I know now. And he had a pathologist come in to do the breast biopsy. And I cursed at those men. No pain management. They did some kind of a shot to numb the area. Numb the area? No, they had to take a needle and insert it and then snap that thing. Not once or twice or 3 times, 4 times. By then I'm cursing at them. So I'm not sad to see them close at all. Good riddance. So anyways, yes, and I will be talking about the trip to Ireland, because I'm really glad that I traveled back when I did, because based upon what I see, and I've been following another YouTube account that I would highly recommend if you want to see how communities are changing, and not in a good way. And that's 2 mad explorers. So 2 mad explorers, husband and wife team. She's German and Irish, I believe, and he's Irish. But yeah, I mean, Ireland was amazing. The Ross Castle, the boat scene around Ross Castle was breathtaking, with the colorful boats. And remember in a previous broadcast, I said when I get into hotel rooms, I like to snag things. Yeah, the things I snag are actually, the things that are there for the guests, the things that you keep. Not like the furniture or the, anything else. Like the key cards. Isn't that awesome? I'm not sure what hotel this was from. It might have been Egypt. But this was the Doyle collection. This was from the Westbury in Dublin. And so I actually, was it the Waterford, or yeah, it was Waterford Castle Hotel had beautiful stationery for the guests, and I sold that on my Etsy shop to a wonderful lady in Florida. But look at the stationery. It's watermarked even, if you can see through that. Yeah, this teal color, really pretty. And then from Le Meridian, they had a, envelope for sending, and this is their art card if you want to send a note. So the stationery is always lovely. Isn't that amazing? That was at the Giza pyramids. So yes, I'm glad I traveled when I did, because nowadays things are different, but that doesn't mean you can't go. That just means that you have to plan and be an educated traveler to the best of your ability. Because, these are the things that we're called to do if we want to explore our world. And there's the Blarney Castle. So I did climb to the top of that and lean over and kiss the Blarney Stone. Killarney National Park, took a carriage ride through there, which was absolutely amazing. I'm trying to think of the name of the hotel that we stayed at. I did a little recap of where we stayed there, but I don't remember exactly what the name of that hotel was. At any rate, I've already droned on for 36 minutes, and the Cliffs of Moher, that's where we saw the puffins, amazing puffins flying everywhere. The Guinness house. I had a Coke because I don't drink alcohol. And the people that I was with, at least the person I was with, wasn't a drinker either. So amazing how that all happened. But yeah, so I'm going to share some more pictures of the 5-star castle tour of Ireland. I'm also going to talk about the cruise to Bermuda, which, if you've never thought about going to Bermuda, it's just off the coast of North Carolina, if you think about it. And Bermuda is an absolutely beautiful island. The people are wonderful. Yep, you can take a cruise. This is one that I found in a thrift store. It's an old one. So yeah, that was a really beautiful trip too. And I don't know, I love traveling. There's lots to see and do when you travel. You just have to be a smart traveler. I don't even have my passport active right now. We're talking about doing that because you never know, when you might want to hit the road and go check out things that are happening around in some other country, because it is truly breathtaking. Here's a picture of Adair Manor. They have since been sold to a new set of investors who we're doing a lot of reconstruction, retaining the old heritage. But we breakfast right here in this room. It's just fascinating. Yeah, the buffet area was in here. When you see the architecture of to feel so little by comparison to, the cathedrals and the castles. And we saw a bride. That was just an amazing thing to see the bride. Always good luck. And I'll stop here on this one, but this I came upon and I was fascinated by this tree. And this is actually called the Cedar of Lebanon. This tree is magnificent. And I don't know if I printed out the other picture of it, but you can look it up. It is called the Cedar of Lebanon. It was planted in 1645. It's located in the formal gardens near the river. There's also trees that were planted during the Georgian period. And Adair Manor, the estate's name. So Adair Manor, it's a hotel and golf resort. It's in Adair County, Limerick. It's just fascinating because it has so much to offer from it. Adair Manor derives its name from a feudal system introduced after the Norman invasion in Ireland around 1170. So even Oak Island talks about the connection with some of the, potential treasure that might be on Oak Island, having to do with, things from this area. Who knows? All right, so that's where we have it. Things are kicking along. I hope everybody's doing good for a Friday. Supposed to be nice weather. We're coming into spring, which I'm super grateful for. More sunny days. And I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. I'm going to go down and check on that big loaf of bread that's down there and probably have some of it. So the next talk will also be about Ireland, because you just can't not talk about each of these castles. And I would also talk about Bryn Athyn Cathedral. That's a cathedral where it was just down the road from where I lived in Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania. Beautiful cathedral. And I'll print off some pictures of that too for the comparison. Because it really was, as I would drive by often, it really was reminiscent of being in Europe with the beauty of the Bryn Athyn Cathedral. So go find beauty in your own neighborhood. If do what you love to do. If you love just walking, go walking. Watch out for chiggers. I don't know when chiggers come back around, but we ignored a sign for chiggers last year. We won't ever do that again. And, take protection. If you're going to be out in the woods, be aware of, what's out there in the woods with you. And just enjoy life, because nothing is certain. Because you feel good today doesn't mean you're going to feel good tomorrow. So I've learned to, relish in the day. Like, if it's a good day, that's fantastic. If it's not a good day, then, find a way to work within that, because there will always be tomorrow, hopefully. But enjoy today and eat dessert first. And look for Arita's. If you have Arita's water ice by you, go there. Delicious. So that's about it for my little chat today. And I will also talk about these, because these are so good. If you have a Trader Joe's by you, these little guys right here, delicious. They don't sell these anymore, sad to say, but I'll be using this tin to put these in. And these, don't eat too many, but they're delicious. And on that note, I will bid everybody a good day. Thanks for stopping by to listen to me chat about what's happening in my life. And I'll continue sending out my best wishes to the Guthrie family in hopes that they have resolution one way or the other with what's happened, because that's not right. That's not right at all. And that's a very sad thing. So take care of the people you love, and take care of yourself too. All right. And I'll catch you later. Have a great day. Bye.